The massive War Council chamber aboard the Zentharian flagship Dominion's Edge buzzed with the clicking, chittering, and growling of a dozen alien species. Holographic displays showed tactical formations across 3 star systems, but all attention focused on the small blue planet rotating slowly in the center of the room. Commander Vextal of the Krillian Empire adjusted his 4 arms, each ending in razor-sharp claws that could slice through titanium. His reptilian eyes gleamed with amusement as he studied the primitive world before them. "So this is the famous Earth," he hissed, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had conquered 17 worlds. "The humans actually believe they can stand against the combined galactic forces." General Thokmar, a massive bear-like creature from the Ursine Collective, slammed his massive fist on the tactical table. The impact sent vibrations through the deck plating. "My scouts report their weapons are laughably outdated. They still use projectile weapons that fire metal slugs. Metal slugs!" His booming laughter filled the chamber. "While we have plasma cannons that can melt through starship hulls." Admiral Zephyra, her blue crystalline skin refracting the chamber's lights into rainbow patterns, nodded in agreement. Her species, the Prism Lords, had developed energy weapons that could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. "Our intelligence confirms this. The humans have what they call rifles and sniper rifles, primitive kinetic weapons that require physical ammunition. One wonders how such a backward species even achieved space travel." The War Council erupted in various forms of alien laughter. Clicks, growls, electronic beeps, and harmonic tones filled the air as representatives from the Hive Mind Collective, the Silicon Brotherhood, the Phantom Wraiths, and 8 other major galactic powers shared in the amusement. "Perhaps," suggested Overlord Keshata, his insectoid mandibles clicking rhythmically, "we should simply ignore this world. Let them exist as a curiosity, a living museum of primitive warfare." But Commander Vextal's expression hardened. "No. The humans have something we need. Their planet sits at the convergence of 3 major hyperspace routes, control Earth, and we control the fastest shipping lanes in this spiral arm. Besides," his lips curled back to reveal rows of needle-sharp teeth, "they made the mistake of refusing our generous offer to join the combined forces as a client species. 3 months earlier, the Galactic Council had sent a diplomatic envoy to Earth. The message was simple: submit to galactic authority, provide tribute, and accept client species status, or face the consequences. The human response had been equally simple: a 2-word message that roughly translated to "go away" in several human languages, though the original words were considerably more colorful. "Their defiance cannot go unanswered," Vextal continued. "Every species in the galaxy is watching. If we allow primitive humans to reject our authority, others might follow their example." General Thokmar pulled up detailed scans of human military installations. "Look at this," he said, gesturing to images of human soldiers carrying their weapons. "They actually aim these metal tube weapons by looking through primitive optical devices. Our warriors can engage targets at ranges measured in light seconds using quantum-locked targeting systems." The displays showed human military bases, their defensive positions, and their equipment. To the galactic commanders, it looked like children playing with toys. Human tanks rolled on wheels or treads across the ground, while alien war machines could fly and phase through solid matter. Human aircraft moved through atmosphere using chemical propulsion, while galactic fighters could fold space around themselves. "Most amusing of all," added Admiral Zephyra, "are their snipers. They lie motionless for hours, waiting to fire a single projectile at one target. A single target. Our plasma artillery can vaporize entire city blocks with one shot." The alien commanders had spent decades studying warfare across the galaxy. They had seen energy weapons that could crack continental plates, gravity manipulators that could create artificial black holes, and temporal disruptors that could age targets to dust in seconds. The idea that any species still used chemical propulsion to launch metal projectiles seemed like archaeological curiosity. "I propose a demonstration," Vextal announced. "We'll land a small force on one of their continents. Let them see the futility of resistance. When their primitive weapons prove useless against our technology, they'll surrender quickly enough." The War Council agreed enthusiastically. It would be a simple operation. 3 divisions of elite galactic troops would land on the North American continent and establish control. The humans would fire their primitive weapons, the projectiles would bounce harmlessly off advanced alien armor, and Earth would surrender within hours. As the alien commanders finalized their invasion plans, none of them bothered to investigate exactly what those human rifles could do. They had dismissed the weapons as primitive without understanding the engineering behind them. They knew humans used chemical propulsion and metal projectiles, but they hadn't bothered to learn the specifics. They didn't know about barrel rifling that could spin projectiles to incredible accuracy across vast distances. They didn't understand the mathematics behind ballistic trajectories that human snipers calculated in their heads. They had no concept of how human marksmen could account for wind speed, air density, Earth's rotation, and target movement to place a shot exactly where intended. Most critically, they had never encountered a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of putting metal projectiles into very specific places with absolute precision. The invasion fleet began moving toward Earth. 12 capital ships carrying 150,000 elite alien warriors, supported by atmospheric fighters, ground assault vehicles, and enough firepower to level mountains. The largest military operation in galactic history, all aimed at a single primitive world. On Earth, military satellites detected the approaching fleet within hours. Emergency broadcasts went out to every military installation on the planet. The message was brief. "They're coming. Take positions." In the mountains of Afghanistan, Staff Sergeant Maria Santos adjusted her rifle scope and settled into a hide she had spent 2 days preparing. The weapon beside her was a human creation, engineered over centuries of warfare. It could place a .50 caliber round through a target the size of a coin, at distances exceeding 2 kilometers. In the forests of Canada, Sergeant Major James Mackenzie checked his equipment one final time. His rifle was loaded with armor-piercing rounds designed to penetrate the heaviest materials human science could create. The scope mounted on his weapon could track targets moving at supersonic speeds. Across every continent, in cities, forests, mountains, and deserts, human snipers took their positions. They were armed with weapons the aliens considered primitive toys. What the galaxy's greatest military minds didn't understand was that these primitive weapons had been refined through thousands of years of human conflict into instruments of absolute precision. The alien fleet entered Earth's atmosphere with complete confidence. Their sensors detected human military positions, but the readings seemed almost pitiful. Small groups of humans with their chemical projectile weapons hiding behind primitive cover, waiting to face the most advanced military force in galactic history. As the first alien dropships descended toward major population centers, the beings inside them laughed about the easy victory ahead. Some were already planning their shore leave once the humans surrendered. None of them had ever encountered a human sniper. The galaxy's warriors were about to learn why humans had spent millennia perfecting the art of putting holes in things from very far away. They were about to discover that sometimes the most advanced technology could not overcome the simple, terrible efficiency of a human being who knew exactly where to aim. The first alien dropships touched down in major cities across Earth at precisely 800 GMT. The coordinated landing was meant to demonstrate galactic military precision and overwhelming force. Massive ships, each the size of city blocks, settled onto landing zones in New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow, and 12 other major population centers. Commander Vextal emerged from his command ship in Central Park, his ornate armor gleaming with energy fields that could deflect plasma bolts and particle beams. Around him, Krillian shock troopers took defensive positions, their weapons humming with deadly power. Each soldier wore armor that had never been penetrated by any known weapon in galactic history. "Humans of Earth," Vextal's voice boomed across the city through translation devices. "You have 1 hour to surrender unconditionally. Lay down your primitive weapons and submit to galactic authority. Resistance is futile." The streets of Manhattan were eerily quiet. Windows reflected the morning sun, but no movement could be seen. The alien commander smiled with satisfaction. Clearly, the humans understood how hopeless their situation was. 2 kilometers away, on the roof of the Chrysler Building, Master Sergeant Rachel Chen adjusted her breathing and watched the alien commander through her scope. She had been in position since before dawn, waiting patiently as only a human sniper could. Her rifle was a modified Barrett M82A1, chambered for 50 BMG armor-piercing rounds. The ammunition beside her had been specially designed to penetrate advanced materials. Through her scope, she could see the alien commander clearly. His armor was impressive, covered in what appeared to be energy shields and advanced composite materials. But Rachel had spent 15 years putting bullets through things that weren't supposed to have holes in them. She made minute adjustments to her scope, accounting for wind speed, distance, and the slight rotation of the Earth itself. In London, Corporal David Wright lay hidden in the ruins of an old church tower, his L-115A3 sniper rifle trained on the alien landing zone in Hyde Park. The massive creatures emerging from their ship looked like armored bears walking upright. Their weapons glowed with energy that made the air shimmer around them. David had served in 3 wars and had never missed a shot that mattered. Today would not be the first time. In Tokyo, Sergeant Akiko Tanaka waited in complete stillness atop a skyscraper overlooking the Imperial Palace grounds where the aliens had landed. Her Type 20 sniper rifle was loaded with experimental rounds designed by Japanese military scientists. The bullets contained dense tungsten cores that could punch through materials harder than diamond. Around the world, the scene was the same. Human snipers, hidden and patient, watching alien forces deploy with the confidence of beings who had never faced a human marksman. The aliens began their demonstration of power. General Thokmar, commanding the London forces, ordered his troops to show the primitive humans what real weapons could do. A massive Ursine warrior aimed his plasma cannon at an abandoned building and fired. The structure vaporized in a brilliant flash of light. The plasma beam, hot enough to melt steel in microseconds, left only a smoking crater where a 5-story building had stood. The alien troops roared their approval, certain that this display would bring immediate human surrender. David Wright watched the demonstration through his scope and adjusted his aim slightly. The alien who had fired the shot was standing in the open, proudly displaying his weapon to any humans who might be watching. The creature's armor looked impressive, but David had learned long ago that every piece of armor had weak points. He centered his crosshairs on a gap where the alien's neck armor met his helmet. At 1847 meters, it was not an easy shot, but well within his capabilities. In New York, Commander Vextal grew impatient. "Humans," he called out again, "you have seen our power. Your weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Still no response from the empty city. Vextal decided to escalate. He pointed to a nearby office building and ordered his troops to destroy it. 3 Krillian soldiers raised their energy weapons. The building exploded in a cascade of light and debris. The alien weapons had turned 40 floors of steel and concrete into glowing particles in under 3 seconds. "Now do you understand?" Vextal shouted. "Your primitive projectile weapons cannot even scratch our armor. We are invincible." Rachel Chen took a slow, deep breath and held it. Through her scope, the alien commander was gesturing dramatically, presenting a perfect target. She had studied the footage of alien technology that human intelligence had gathered. Their energy shields were designed to deflect energy weapons and plasma bolts, but no one in the galaxy had ever bothered to test them against a piece of lead moving at 2,800 feet per second. The mathematical precision required for her shot was extraordinary. She had to account for the slight curvature of the Earth over the 2-kilometer distance, the speed and direction of the wind at multiple altitudes, the temperature difference between her position and the target, and even the rotation of the planet itself. But human snipers had been making impossible shots for centuries. What seemed like magic to other species was simply the result of thousands of years of human warfare and the relentless human drive to put projectiles exactly where they wanted them to go. At precisely AO 847 GMT, 16 human snipers around the world squeezed their triggers simultaneously. The results were immediate and shocking. Commander Vexatal was in mid-sentence, explaining to the empty city how hopeless human resistance would be when Rachel Chen's bullet arrived. The 50-caliber armor-piercing round, traveling at nearly 3 times the speed of sound, struck him exactly where she had aimed. The aliens' energy shields, designed to deflect plasma and particle beams, had never been tested against solid projectiles moving at hypersonic velocity. The bullet punched through the energy field as if it didn't exist, penetrated the advanced armor plating, and continued through the alien commander's body with barely any loss of momentum. Vexatal looked down in shock at the massive hole that had suddenly appeared in his chest. His 4 arms reached toward the wound as if he could somehow close it. Then he collapsed, his weapon clattering to the ground. In London, General Thokmar was congratulating his troops on their successful demonstration when David Wright's bullet found its target. The round struck the gap in the alien's neck armor with surgical precision, and the massive bear-like creature dropped instantly. In Tokyo, Sergeant Tanaka's experimental tungsten round proved even more effective than expected. It punched through the alien commander's armor, continued through his body, and embedded itself 3 feet deep in the armored hull of his dropship. Around the world, alien commanders fell in perfect synchronization. Beings who had conquered dozens of worlds, who commanded the most advanced weapons in galactic history, died from wounds inflicted by human weapons that the galaxy considered primitive toys. The alien troops stood in stunned silence. Their leaders, protected by armor and shields that had never failed, were dead, killed by invisible attackers using weapons that shouldn't have been able to harm them. But the real shock was yet to come. The human snipers didn't stop with the commanders. Rachel Chen was already acquiring her next target, another alien who had stepped forward to take command. Her second shot dropped him before he could speak a word. David Wright had identified 3 more high-value targets and was methodically eliminating them with the cold precision that made human marksmen legendary. Across the globe, alien forces that had landed expecting an easy victory found themselves under attack from an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't locate, and apparently couldn't defend against. The aliens' advanced sensors could detect energy weapons from vast distances, but they couldn't track the supersonic projectiles until they had already arrived. Their armor could deflect plasma bolts and particle beams, but offered no protection against solid projectiles traveling at hypersonic speeds. For the first time in galactic history, the combined forces were experiencing something they had never encountered. An enemy that could kill them without being detected. Panic began to spread through the alien ranks as more commanders and elite troops fell to invisible snipers. The weapons they had mocked as primitive were proving more deadly than anything in their advanced arsenals. The invasion that was supposed to demonstrate galactic superiority was turning into a nightmare of vanishing officers and spreading terror. The panic spreading through alien ranks reached the command ships orbiting Earth within minutes. Admiral Zephyra stared at her tactical displays in disbelief as red warning lights indicated the death of ground commanders across multiple continents. "This is impossible," she whispered, her crystalline skin shifting to deep crimson in distress. "Our troops are equipped with the finest armor in the galaxy. Their shields can deflect anything short of starship weapons." The communications channels crackled with confused and terrified reports from the surface. Alien soldiers, who had never retreated from any battle, were desperately seeking cover behind their dropships and scanning empty buildings for enemies they couldn't find. "Unknown contacts eliminated Commander Thekmol," came one panicked transmission. "No energy discharge detected. No projectile trace. He just fell." "Primary assault leader down," reported another unit. "Cause unknown. Request immediate evacuation." Overlord Keshta's mandibles clicked frantically as he attempted to process the situation. "How are they killing our people? Our sensors show no energy weapons firing, no plasma discharges, no particle beam signatures." On the surface, the human snipers continued their methodical work. Rachel Chen had eliminated 7 high-ranking aliens and was now targeting the technical specialists attempting to set up communication equipment. Each shot was carefully planned and perfectly executed. The aliens, trying to establish their command post, had no idea that death was coming from over 2 kilometers away. She watched through her scope as a group of insectoid creatures attempted to deploy some kind of scanning device. Clearly, they were trying to locate the source of the attacks. Rachel adjusted her aim and fired. The scanning device exploded as her bullet struck its power core. The aliens scattered in terror, abandoning their equipment and diving for any cover they could find. Meanwhile, human forces around the world began coordinating the second phase of their defense. While the snipers had eliminated the alien command structure, regular infantry units emerged from hidden positions to engage the now leaderless invaders. What happened next shocked the surviving aliens even more than the sniper attacks. The human soldiers didn't carry energy weapons or advanced technology. They used the same primitive projectile weapons that had killed the alien commanders. But in the hands of trained human soldiers, these weapons proved devastatingly effective. Human assault rifles fired armor-piercing rounds that punched through alien armor as if it were paper. Human machine gunners laid down suppressing fire that forced alien troops to take cover behind their own vehicles. Human grenadiers used explosive projectiles that could disable alien war machines with carefully placed shots. The aliens' energy weapons, for all their impressive destructive power, required time to charge and aim. Human weapons fired as fast as soldiers could pull triggers. While an alien warrior charged his plasma rifle, a human soldier could fire 20 rounds with lethal precision. Captain Mike Rodriguez led his squad through the streets of downtown Los Angeles, systematically hunting the alien forces that had landed there. His team moved with tactics perfected through decades of urban warfare, using buildings and vehicles as cover while engaging targets at ranges where human accuracy gave them the advantage. "Contact 200 meters," called out Sergeant Williams, spotting a group of silicon-based aliens attempting to establish a defensive position. "I count 6 hostiles." "Engage," Rodriguez ordered. The human squad opened fire with coordinated precision. Their bullets, designed to penetrate the hardest materials human science could create, proved more than adequate against alien armor. 6 targets dropped in under 10 seconds. The pattern repeated across the globe. Alien forces that had expected to face primitive resistance found themselves fighting an enemy that had spent millennia perfecting the art of warfare. Human tactics, developed through countless conflicts, proved superior to alien strategies that relied on technological superiority. But it was the snipers who truly broke the alien spirit. Master Sergeant Chen had repositioned twice during the battle, moving between prepared hides that offered different angles of attack. From her new position atop the Empire State Building, she could see alien forces attempting to retreat to their landing ships. She selected a massive creature that appeared to be rallying the survivors for a final assault. Through her scope, she could see the alien gesturing wildly, trying to organize his terrified troops. The creature was over 3 kilometers away, at the extreme range of her weapon, but Chen had made longer shots. She calculated the ballistics in her head, adjusted for the wind and atmospheric conditions, and fired. The alien leader dropped instantly, and the remaining troops broke entirely. They fled toward their ships in complete panic, abandoning weapons and equipment in their desperate rush to escape. Similar scenes played out worldwide. Alien forces that had conquered star systems found themselves routed by human soldiers using weapons the galaxy considered obsolete. The surviving alien ships in orbit attempted to provide support with orbital bombardment, but human anti-aircraft defenses proved surprisingly effective. Surface-to-air missiles, using the same kinetic principles as the rifles, struck alien fighters before their pilots could react. Admiral Zephyra watched her invasion force collapse in real time. "Full retreat," she ordered, her voice heavy with defeat. "Recover what forces we can and withdraw to safe distance." The evacuation was chaos. Alien dropships designed for triumphant victory parades became desperate rescue vehicles. Soldiers who had never experienced defeat crowded aboard, many wounded by weapons they still didn't understand. As the alien fleet retreated beyond Earth's orbital defenses, emergency communications reached every corner of the galaxy. The message was simple, but devastating. The humans had won. The news sent shockwaves through galactic civilization. The combined forces, unopposed for centuries, had been defeated by a primitive world using obsolete weapons. Species that had submitted to galactic authority without resistance began to question whether the Empire was truly invincible. On Earth, the celebration was subdued. Humanity had won this battle, but they understood it was only the beginning. The galaxy now knew that humans were more dangerous than anyone had imagined. In military academies across human space, new courses appeared overnight. Applied ballistics in low-tech environments and kinetic weapon systems for interstellar warfare became required study. Human weapons manufacturers began working around the clock to produce ammunition for the larger conflict they knew was coming. But most importantly, humans began training, teaching other species the principles that made human weapons so effective, sharing the mathematics of ballistics, the engineering of precision manufacturing, and the tactics that had allowed primitive Earth to defeat advanced alien technology. The galaxy had mocked human rifles as obsolete curiosities. Now, every species in the known universe wanted to learn how to use them. Admiral Zephyra, filing her report on the failed invasion, concluded with words that would echo through galactic history. "We underestimated the humans. We saw primitive weapons and assumed primitive warriors. We were wrong. The humans have spent their entire evolutionary history perfecting the art of killing each other from long distances. Their weapons are not obsolete. They are terrifyingly efficient." The report included detailed analysis of human sniper tactics, ballistic calculations, and weapon systems. It became required reading for every military officer in galactic space. But perhaps the most significant line in the report was also the simplest. Recommendation: never again underestimate a species that has spent thousands of years learning exactly where to aim. The Galactic Council's plan to quickly conquer Earth had failed completely. Instead of gaining a client world, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species that didn't need advanced technology to be lethal. A species that could kill with precision from distances that rendered most galactic weapons useless. The galaxy would never look at projectile weapons the same way again, and they would never again assume that primitive meant ineffective. Human snipers had taught the universe a lesson written in lead and mathematics. Sometimes the oldest weapons are the deadliest, especially when wielded by beings who have spent millennia perfecting the simple art of putting holes in things exactly where they want them.